That guy's a cyber character. He's not real.
MakingStarWars.net.
Well, I'm Jay Sword, MakingStarWars.net, and today me and Rob, we got Azzatru, who played the further adventures of California Kestis. Right? You did.
Yeah,
you did.
Yeah, it was in California, and I did meet the Kestis guy, so that was fun.
I saw your video though, and like you said, like I showed a bunch of stuff. You kept saying like Jason did this, and it was so cool. I didn't do any of that. I don't know why you're making up stuff in your videos. That's a lie. But your video, if any people haven't seen it, his video is really good, and I've seen some of them, and it's the best one by far. So I'm glad that.
Thank you.
And it's the longest with the most girth. So that's all you need to know. But
I
George,
have a question. Yeah, did you get a Dole Whip with him? Did you?
I actually didn't. I was looking to
good.
have one, but I had to rush. I went to the Indiana Jones ride. That was fun.
Nerd.
Yeah.
All right. You can thank me for that one. They didn't even want to do it.
As it's true.
No one wanted to do it. Kurtz didn't want to do it. Rick didn't want to do it.
Dole
Nobody.
Whips.
Bob.
Dole Whips
Eisner.
are overrated.
Well, I had
Overrated.
one last
More.
year. And
Did
it
you
was
love
expensive.
it? Did it change
I
your
liked
life?
it, but it wasn't like $8-9 worth it. It was too small.
Overrated.
Like, give me twice for
cheap.
that.
No, that's cheap. That's a.
It doesn't have the length or the girth of your video, so I say too small. We don't need it.
Yeah. Hey, is my fake Harrison still on the ride? You like that?
Yeah, he's there.
They actually
You don't have
just
to pay for him. Doesn't matter, Jason.
they renovated the ride.
Yeah, I
like,
heard
it
that.
just
I heard
opened
that.
up like a week or two ago. It's some new stuff in it, but I haven't been on it
I
yet.
can't really remember the differences, to be honest. I mean, it's mostly in the dark. But yeah.
It's probably like there used to be cockroaches and now they're centipedes, stuff like that.
No one cares. Yeah. No one
But it was good to go on the Rise of Resistance again. I was happy about that. But
Best ride ever made.
So when I went last year, I waited 3 hours because it broke down so much, and then I waited like 2.5 right at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
This time they gave us a paid pass so we could get on it like instantly. But we was like, by the time we got into the park, it already booked up to like 6 o'clock. So we said, okay, 6 o'clock, that's the time. We got there at 6, it just broken down. So we had to wait till 7. But luckily, it was good.
So it broke down on you again?
Yeah. Apparently it breaks down like at least twice a day. So
the Mario rides never break, Jason. Yeah,
that's
they're
true.
good to go.
It's true. They're just like little buggy carts, aren't they?
No, the mine cart at Knott's Berry Farm is pretty good too. Yeah.
That's called the Calico Mine Ride, George. Have some respect.
Okay. All right. Well, I gotta go.
All right, man. Jam out to Knott's Berry Farm.
Whatever.
So yeah. Tell us a bit about the old experience with the new game. I'm gonna pretend like I didn't see your video, and everybody should watch this video because it's really well done. He did a really good job, like I said. But
I spent like the last 2.5 days, like it was just a pain because we unfortunately weren't able to capture footage. I played the game for 4 hours. It was like an hour into the game, so it wasn't the exact start, but it's where the story starts going, and it gave you a good idea. It's like basically sort of like the first bit's going to be the introduction. This is like the main beginning for the game. So 4 hours, I ran through it as quickly as I could to complete the demo to get as far as I could. It took me about that time, like 3.5 hours basically to do. So if you're like a new player or a casual, it's definitely this game is going to take quite a long time to do because like I was speedrunning. I was purposely like missing out enemies and stuff like that, like using movement to just get around, and like and there was also puzzles that I was stuck on. And there's a new feature where if the game knows you are taking time at a certain area, you can on the D-pad it'll say request a hint or no. So if you want to do it yourself, you can, but then like BD1 I think will like say something and Cal's like, oh yeah, I should probably go over to this way. So there is a new hint system to try and stop some people getting frustrated. But yeah, it's basically Fallen Order, but everything about it improved. So the things people liked have been slightly made better, which is good. It's not just the same. And the stuff that people didn't like, they've basically fixed. So if you like the first game, you're gonna love this one. If you love the last one, then you're gonna absolutely love it's. And if you didn't like the first game, go on.
Are we talking about Tears of the Kingdom, or are we talking about Jedi 2? Which one are we talking about?
It's crazy how they're releasing so close together as well. I did see some people say it's gonna get overshadowed, but I'm like, they are the audiences are different. So
yeah,
are they?
Yeah, it's only on the Switch. I know the Switch is so big, but then you've got the console and PC marketplace.
Yeah, I mean that game is on the current gen stuff. Switch and Zelda are the last gen. You can't play the Star Wars game on there, and you can't play Zelda anywhere else. So I don't see it. I see it as being two separate things altogether.
I do think it's not going to sell as well because it's on next gen. But it's going to have the long legs because we've seen that with things like Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS5. Like that has done so well for like the last 2 years because when people get a PS5, they buy that game. This is probably going to be one of those games where people get a console and get it with it, like the day they get the console, because Fallen Order was so big. But there is, like, I've seen plenty of comments today on my video saying, I don't have a PS5, so I'm not going to be able to play it. But if they get one for Christmas this year, they're going to get this game. So even
Santa, you hear that, Santa?
Yeah,
Get with the PS5, Santa. What are you doing? I mean, I got mine. Thanks, Santa. I got the hookup, Jason. I get it. I get the. Yeah.
Looking at the video that you had today, like when I was like looking at what's his name, the Pilot's bar, the bar like little hangout. Yeah, it's like that stuff was giving me kind of reminding me of that Harry Potter game that just came out. That level of detail, and that was stuff that wasn't really in that level of detail wasn't in that first game.
That was the first thing that really was like, wow, like this. I've not seen this in a Star Wars game before. Like Battlefront has some maps and locations that like you think, wow, this is straight out of film, like so much detail, and then you look at what Grease's Cantina has, and it's like they kind of feel scarce, like lacking assets. I'm like, this game, like this one building has tons of stuff. Like Grease's Cantina, for example, has multiple floors. So the top floor, it goes up to like a roof, and there's like a garden on it. So where you could only like find 4 or 5 seeds in the first game, you can just find seeds everywhere and place them in this garden, and you can pick and choose with how you want to grow them, stuff like that.
Herbology from the Harry Potter game. No kidding.
And then there's a toilet. Like most people didn't know this, but I went into the toilet. And, like,
no,
uses
in your video. That's what I knew. I was like,
purchase.
It was
day
toilet
one
humor.
purchase for me.
Toilet humor, and I was like, it's our show.
It's not in the gameplay, and I would have recorded it, but unfortunately, we weren't able to record it. But I went into the toilet.
Can you do co-op in the bathroom? Can you cross swords? You know what I'm talking about?
There was no NPCs in there. But on the right-hand side, you had mirrors, very dirty mirrors, with very dirty sinks. And on the left-hand side, there was urinal, and you went up to it, and you could interact with it. And I was like, what's this going to do? And basically, Cal, like, uses the Force, and, like, water squirts up, and then he gets a holocron. And he's like, I wonder where that came. I don't want to know where that came from, or where that's been, sort of thing. Yeah, and then you can just go over to the sink, and you interact with it, and wash your hands. And he's like, oh, I need to do this, or whatever, so...
And Dave tried to get me on one of those characters, Jason. Yeah, Nil. He tried that one on the 2nd season of Clone Wars.
George, that's just you shopping your names again.
I almost fell for it.
If X-Wolves didn't work, that's not going to work. So
no, it's going to be a cyber character. It was Nil.
I feel like that would have been my Star Wars origin story if I was a Jedi in that universe. Though I'd go up to a urinal, turn out there was this keep everybody was pissing on for like 20 years, and it would be me, and then I'd piss on it, and then it'd be like Obi-Wan Kenobi would come out, and he'd be like, "I've been waiting for you," and I'd be like, "Okay." But
look, I'm not going to dwell on it, but can you wash your hands afterward, or do you?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Yeah. You just go up to. You can do it at any time, but you just go up to the sink and like just press the right thumbstick in, and Cal just like goes up to it and starts turning the tap on and washing his hands, and then he says something. And it's like,
apologies, when the "you're a nil" joke hit my head, I stopped hearing anything you said. It's my bad. It's my bad.
So yeah, there's just loads of those little things that just make it way more immersive compared to the first game. Like all the NPCs you can speak to, and they'll offer you a side quest. They'll be able to trade with you and stuff like that.
Do you think Nintendo will steal the urinal idea and put that in Zelda 3? Like,
well, only if Jedi Survivor gets crafting and stuff.
I mean, the Zelda comparison is pretty thin, Rob. I mean, it's like one thing that you could just grab onto. It doesn't really.
You got a Master Sword. You can ride a dinosaur. You got a generic white guy protagonist who barely speaks.
So far, you're naming every video game of all time.
More this time. I think there's way more dialogue this time between BD1 and Cal. Like the battle droids speak like a lot of funny stuff. Like they're always making really funny lines. So I think people will just not be killing battle droids and just waiting to see what they say, because like every interaction I've had like with an enemy, if I died and went back, like there was different voice lines. You know, that happens in a lot of games, but it's just like, yeah, there's always something new to find. But yeah, going back to the cantina, there's like various rooms and things like that, and they're all got like the same level of fidelity. There's just literally anything. You've got clone trooper helmets, you've got blasters from the various eras, you've got like propaganda posters. One of them had the waitress from Dex's Diner, like that robot.
Hermione.
No, the red droid. The red droid one.
Not Hermione Bagua.
Yeah,
okay.
There was like things like that, like familiar stuff from like that sort of era.
I have a question.
Go on.
About this specifically. Not a joke.
If it's about Triforce, Rob, come on.
The Triforce is the third level of Force. It's going to be in the Unregioned Galaxy. You'll see it's in Ahsoka season 4. Okay. So you're giving Filoni ideas, Jason. Will you stop? Right? It's convoluted enough. Did it visually feel, when you're playing it, right? Did it visually feel like a next gen game, or did it feel like a remastered PS4 game? And I don't mean that in a negative sense. You know, I'm not.
I play most of my games on PC at like the maximum settings, so for me, it doesn't really feel that much different. It just has more stuff. Like it's just, you can just tell it's just more dense. Like specifically in this town, like the buildings and what's outside the buildings. It also helps having the people as well, but like it just feels like they've been able to add way more stuff and make it look. The lighting and material quality is definitely improved, but most people aren't going to really notice that. They were like, "Oh, it looks the same." But I think people coming in from PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and playing it on PS5 were like, "Wow, okay, this looks better." Like the Mantis, for example, the interior textures and everything definitely better.
Yeah, like we were talking about last time on the show. That last time you were on. The game came out and it looked last gen, and then they did like a free upgrade, like on Xbox X, where like you all of a sudden now you have the game with like way better graphics and maybe textures and stuff like that, right? And then so like when they kind of do that, it slightly deflates the jump, like the impact of the jump in quality. But when I was watching the actual like video of it, the amount of stuff going on in frame compared to the first game is way bigger. There's not just like a giant space dog laying on top of like a cliff and you're like, what? You know, it's like there's all kinds of stuff going on. And it's like,
we need that Rick McCollum quote where he goes, "It's so dense," right?
So dense. The digital character.
Basically that.
Yeah. But it is though. I mean, that was the like the big difference. And you also mentioned that the lighting was pretty cool. You were impressed with the lighting? Is that fair to say?
It just looked, I think between cutscenes and the actual game, it's far more seamless. Like you can tell in the first game, like the cutscenes are better, whereas this is quite like it's basically the same pretty much, but just like how the sun, like a lot of the game time was spent at sunset, but then and like the sun's, you know, casting shadows and stuff like that. It felt like I can't really describe it, but it just felt more better than like say Dathomir did. Like and then you can sleep in. So Grease gives you a bedroom, and like that room alone has tons of stuff in it. It's not in the game. alone,
I know you get talking about story stuff, but does Grease watch you sleep?
He
Sorry.
acts really. He does act weird though. There's a moment where I was like, okay, that was really strange. Like Cal even says that he's weird. Like this is weird. So I think I
Very
mentioned
Ted
basically he's got
Bundy-like moment, Jason.
he
You know
has
what I mean?
Cal's old outfits, and it like he just stores them in like a chest, and like you can find them. It's like okay. And then so you can go to sleep in this bed, and then you wake up and the time of day's changed, so it's like midday and stuff like that. So it doesn't. I don't think it changes as you like in real time, but that's fine because it would make it look worse that way. But what it does is as you progress through the story, it does time changes. So there is that. But yeah, Kobo. I know people are like saying they're tired of desert, they're tired of not seeing Coruscant. They want like planets they're familiar with. It's huge. Like it's got a jungle. It has like where I saw a sandcrawler and Jawas. It was like this old village. Like it kind of reminded me of like the Ralph McQuarrie Jawa village thing that made its way into Battlefront. It was kind of like that, but it was more like less Jawa-like and more like for actual like humans and stuff. And that was completely different how it looked to the main town section. So there is. I think what they did is they knew people would get bored. And like I was getting bored after like 2.5 hours of seeing like the same area. But then you get a jungle, and it's like midday, so it's a completely different time of day. It looks amazing. Like there's waterfalls, and then there's like mist in the distance, like it's rising, and it's really colorful as well. Like certain parts, but like there's this really weird. I can't describe it really, and it's kind of tied to the story. But there's this weird like purple plant thing. I don't know what it is, but it's like you have to like get rid of it and stuff. Yeah, it's really strange, but there's a lot.
It's purple Urkel. Purple Urkel. And that explains why Urkel was rumored to be in Skeleton
doesn't
Crew.
know who Urkel is, Jason.
No, it's true. That's probably right.
Sorry. Chris asks, does that green orange frog play an important role in the game? I don't know if he's in it much, but he does speak, and he's there. Like that scene we saw in the trailer, like that wasn't the last of him. Like so, yeah.
What of the story setup that you are allowed to talk about for the demo that you played?
I'll go through my notes. So
yeah, I don't want to trip you up. I don't want you to get in trouble or anything like that.
I can say something,
but I remember in the video, in your video, I believe you said like something goes wrong, and then you kind of like we kind of know that there was a crash landing at some point. So
this is this is what I wrote, so I can say this. So basically, when you the mantis, it started out with the mantis crashing on the planet, so it's just Cal and BD1. So he's like, okay, well, this is where Grease lives, so I'll go and get help from him to help fix it. You get to the cantina after making your way through part of the planet, and you see Turgle, the little frog guy, get beat up by the Bedlam Raiders.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were analyzing that trailer, we saw like Cal in the back, and we were like, "What's Cal just doing hanging out back there?"
He like opens the door, and like as they like come out, so he's like, "Oh, okay," and then he's like ignites his lightsaber, like saying, "Don't threaten this guy." Like, what's he done? And then
he looks stupid.
Actually, well, you know what? Let's because I know we can't get into too much of that story stuff that you're gonna allow to talk about. But I think Rob's gonna be happy with this one because you can make that guy not look stupid now.
You can change his hair, his beard, his jacket, his trousers, and you've got color options. You can do whatever you like. So.
Everybody's giving him a mullet. Everybody's giving him a mullet. But
I didn't change any of mine.
Everybody has the same footage, right?
Yeah, that's another thing. We all got the same footage. That's why. Okay. So everyone's going to be seeing the same stuff. But they definitely just did that on purpose. And like Obi-Wan has one. So, but there was like I think there's like 13 options, and there was like between like 12 and 19 options per thing.
To be fair, though, it's not the Obi-Wan mullet, which is like I'm in the Bee Gees. It's like the current mullet, which is like I'm into Australian punk, which is a lot cooler than your standard. I beat my wife and work on trucks in the 80s mullet. It's different.
I want a
Yeah.
Joe Dirt mullet. That's what I want.
Yeah, it's not a Joe Dirt mullet.
Yeah.
It's like a little shaved on the
There are
side
multiple
thing.
options, so I don't know, but
Oh, okay.
because I didn't record it, I didn't go through like all the options, and I was also rushing through to like do the story, so I didn't play around with it. But a lot of people were asking for a white lightsaber blade. They've done that, so you basically get all the options from the first game, but they've added that.
Everybody who watched your video said like a Ahsoka Tano when you said that part about it.
That's what they were waiting for.
Ahsoka Tano? Yeah, for sure.
And I didn't know if they was going to just leave lightsaber customization as it is, but it's not showing the gameplay, and I wish I made more notes about it, but there are a bunch of sliders from like 0 to 100, and you can shoot. One of them I definitely know is polish, and you can change like various like texture
polish my saber
of the material.
Get it shiny.
So they've just added more. Like you can just you get what you liked about the first game with some extra changes. So if you really care about that small amount of detail, then you've got it. And then
my son plays with the original like saber customization thing, like just on its own. He's like, I'm making my lightsaber. So that's good news, I think, for him, for kids.
And then you've got BD1 that
Can
gets
you wear
all
a green
customization. I haven't seen any hats, any helmets or anything yet. So
can you wear a green skirt?
There is green stuff. Green's one of the main.
I knew it, Jason.
I don't know if this is it.
Man, this guy he's got an idea and he's not letting it go. Next thing you know, they should make a Mando movie.
Thank you.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Thank you. I got more Mando stuff to talk about later when Azzatru's done, but this is awesome. I got a question. When Disney shills you out, right? Like, I'm fucking with you. But no, when you go to the event, did you play it on PS5s or on PC builds, or is it like on?
It was on PC. So usually
did you play with Xbox controllers on the PC?
Yes, they had. So typically every event I've been to, whether it be Battlefront or Fallen Order or this, there's always been on PC because it's just way easier for them. There's only been one event, which was Gamescom, which was PS4 back for Battlefront 2, but they're always they always get like the best PCs to make sure like that there isn't any issues and things like that. It was a 1440p display. It was all maxed out settings. We had a controller, we had mouse and keyboard if people really wanted to go through that.
This is just a personal question. Like I've watched them do this before. Do they ever like work in a tagline where they go, "This is powered only by Windows 11" or something? Do they do that to you?
So this game is sponsored by. It's like the main sponsor for the game is AMD. Because like they said, like they gave all like the processors of like they gave out Ryzen processors to all the developers like when it was making it during COVID. So there was like, this is like an AMD partnered game, and like you can get the game for free if you buy a new processor and stuff. So you have like AMD's FSR instead of DLSS in there, and there is ray tracing. And the PCs we used were AMD PCs. Like it was like AMD must have sponsored that, but like we didn't have to like say anything about that. But I think that might have been an issue. One of the issues I had with the game was the performance. Like no one else there. Like I didn't hear anyone else talk about it, but I'm like I have an eye for these things. Like the smallest frame drop can annoy me. I've got to be playing it like I'd take lower graphics than this, and literally everything was turned up to the absolute maximum with ray tracing gone at 1440p, and for the most part it was great. But when I was running through the town and like moving fast and whatnot, the frame rate was dropping quite a lot. And then, but in like general combat, it was fine. But like that was like a real stress point because it's got all these NPCs.
That could be just a PC thing.
Yeah, I did say I wonder if it's literally at the maximum settings, or and to stress, it is a pre-release.
A lot of times it has to do
version as well.
If the game was devved on like console, like PS5 or Xbox, the way they catch virtual memory is different on PCs. There's a lot of CPU loading on PC to kind of make up for it, so you can get weird frame chugs. It's just an optimization issue that I'm sure they'll work out.
Yeah, I don't know how old the demo was. I did submit some questions, but I haven't heard back about them. But I would have liked to have known like how old the demo was as well, because the game should be going gold any day now. I believe Fallen Order went gold like just under a month. Like basically like 4 weeks, just under a month from release. So any day now, they should say it's gone gold, and there's going to be like a day one patch and stuff. But yeah, the only bug I really encountered was to do with performance. So like some of the AI, most of the creatures, even when they were close, were updating at like 30 frames per second, as opposed to like full frame rate like all the others. Like it was just really jarring. Like there was a moment specifically where I saw this when Cal was fine, the stormtrooper I was fighting was fine, but this like bird thing in the same area would like it was 30 frames per second or less or whatever. So that was weird. And also the galaxy map, I opened the galaxy map just to see if there was any planets in there I could find and sneakily think like, I know about. It was just Kobo, but the map looked great and it was pretty big and there was space for plenty of planets, but it took the game down to like 5 FPS. Like I was just trying to break the game like at this point, and it's definitely a bug. But
how many frames per second was it when you fought Ganon? Like,
well, on
25?
Switch, it's it's not very good.
No? Okay.
Is the actual map for the game the same as the first game? The actual like in-game map?
So the map has changed a lot. You can fast travel. There is now a trail for a certain amount of time to see where you've been, so you can go back on yourself if you really wanted to. But it's far more open now, so I didn't find myself actually using that. But it might be more beneficial for the other planets that might be a little bit more linear. Because this one's pretty open. Like it feels like you can just keep like going round, and there's a way out. Like I did go back sometimes, but it was like you could just keep going, and eventually you'll get to where you want to be. But yeah, fast travel's a thing. If you see a meditation spot and you rest at it, then you can just fast travel between them once you've found them. So the map, I hadn't like one of my friends was sat next to me was like, it's a little bit overwhelming. Like they've added all the stuff people wanted to it to make it better, but in doing so, it's kind of like made it hard. Like it was hard to read, but now it's also hard to read because they've added stuff that's helpful. I don't know if it's just because I wasn't spending much time with it. It was only a couple hours, but I found myself
to be fair,
trying to
folks,
use the map.
If people never played like demos at events like the E3 or a convention, or in this case, like I've done one of these demos at Disneyland where they put together a whole thing for the press and stuff. Like it's hard to get a sense the way when you sit down to play a game in your room. Like you kind of jump into an area, someone's like telling you what you're doing, and they kind of set you up and they hand you the controller, and you're just going, yeah, I know. I just watched 5 other people play this fucking thing for the last 30 minutes while I was waiting to play, or like 5 minutes or however it goes. So you just want to play it, and then like it could be it could be a little. It's hard to get the sense of things sometimes.
That's how I won a giant Mario Kart at E3. That like the last year they ever gave stuff out when there was an E3. Because we were just like watching people play, and then I like stood up. I'm like, yeah, I like you showed me how to drift like 15 times while I've been waiting here for the last hour. so I know how to win now, and thank you. But
yeah, it was that because like these events, I always go in with like I need to get progress as far as I can and learn as much as I can, because there were pretty much everyone I saw didn't complete the demo. A couple of people I knew completed the demo, but most people didn't seem to do so. And it's just one of those things where it was 4 hours was pretty good. Like I didn't think we was going to get that amount. I think the Fallen Order event was 4 hours as well. So, but most of that was just on Zepho, and there was a lot of puzzles in Zepho. So I didn't complete I don't think almost no one completed the Fallen Order demo because we all got sort of stuck. I mean, to be honest, there was a lot of Respawn developers there, and they were like looking over our shoulder and stuff. And if we were like, there was 2 points where me and my friend got stuck, and he like pointed us the right way. It was really stupid. Like we just had to go like where we was going up a path, we had to go down. And that was another thing, is where they've made it so much stuff is optional because they knew like people don't want to do certain things, that it feels like when I just wanted to do the story, but I felt like stuff I was doing in the interest of time I was being sidetracked, because it kind of the side quest stuff isn't like it can still be related. Like you go there to level up Cal. So if you want to progress through the story and have an easier time, you do want to do these side quest stuff. But I damn well know people don't want to do those things. So
I do it all. I do every quest.
Yeah, like with Fallen Order, I was just I didn't do any of the side stuff, but this time the side stuff actually has merit. Like instead of just finding a crate with another poncho, you're
A
actually
pink
getting
poncho,
yeah,
and then a blue poncho. Yeah.
and you're getting stuff that's gonna enhance like what you can do. And there are new moves. Like you get all your powers from the first game. They said on Twitter today, like we're not doing the usual thing where you lose all your stuff again. No, you are Cal, but 5 years older, so you keep all your stuff, and you can get even more stuff. So you can still get better, but you just don't have to relearn everything from the first game. So if you haven't played the first game and you're jumping into this game, I think it's going to be a bit weird. Like you'll be fine because you'll be happy with all the stuff, but also like you won't know the story, and also there is not as much progression. I don't think there will be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the other stances like the blaster stance, which I'll get into in a bit. But yeah, I think it's good. But yeah, I'll go back to the story stuff. So basically, at the cantina, Ravers, the Gendai, comes out. So you interact with him. This is like really early on into the game. So
Gendai Tartakovsky.
yes, and he's like, Jedi supposed to be dead. Like he's like, whatever. I don't like this frog guy. Like the frog guy's eyes, by the way, like the animation's pretty good. Like he's like looking at two people one time, and it's like I want to say
Steve Buscemi. I'm kidding.
I think it's. I don't want to say it's in a live action show. It might be in the VR game. Tales of the Galaxy Edge. The guy that has the like 6 eyes, like his eyes look at multiple people at the same time. Like it was just really good. Like. And then basically you fight a boss of a Bedlam Raider and you kill him. And then for the next 3 hours, I basically can't say anything what goes on. However, this is a quote I can say. There is an anomaly. Something that might offer Cal and his friends something valuable. And that's it. So there is something that's an anomaly.
They're selling pot, aren't they?
So I can't say. But
yeah,
take that what you will. But that's the big thing. That's like the big thing to, you know, you want to be interested in.
Anomalous activity.
So yeah, it's So we'll go on to the gunplay. Yeah. So after we finished, the guy that like does the lightsaber combat and stuff, he basically put together he was playing in like an arena. This isn't in the game, but it was like just spawning in stormtroopers constantly. So he was just showing off his incredible skills like with the lightsaber and the force and stuff. And there's brand new stuff that I hadn't unlocked in the game. Like so you can now like lift up a stormtrooper like flat like they're lying down like Kylo and Darth Vader does, right? And then you can
like
you can like
you can like hux them on the or no like
just so like so like they're standing up and then they're like lying like this, right? They're like squirming, and then you just like use your lightsaber to take on others, and then like you can bring him down. He also did a power I didn't mention it in my video, but like he like brought forward like there was like say 10 scout troopers. He just force pulled them close to him and then like slashed them.
Oh, he Poncho V'd them, but with a lightsaber.
And then there was a lot.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll tell him later.
He's British. Come on.
And then there was there was just a lot more of like using the force to do something with one hand and then use the lightsaber with the other. And then with the blaster, we didn't get to use the blaster because it's unlocked later in the game. You start out with single blade, which I just didn't use because it's just a single blade, the double blade, and the dual blades. I mostly used the dual blades because that was the like only a slight part of Fallen Order. So with the blaster, you can use your lightsaber, but also shoot at the same time. It's kind of like it does a lot of charging up. I think it seems like for a more powerful shot. But there was a lot of abilities with the force. Like you can like he was just going mad, like chaining up attacks after attacks. Like it's definitely going to be something like masters of the game can do. But for example, in Red Dead Redemption, you can slow down time and it will auto lock onto people. He basically did that. Like that was one of the moves. Another one was I can't quite remember. I just remember vividly he like shot one blaster bolt and it like bounced in between multiple stormtroopers. I don't know how. I can't remember. But like and then like he threw the lightsaber and like bounced off that and stuff like that. So it's not just standard blaster gameplay where you use gun shoot people. You're using it in tandem with either the lightsaber or the force or all three of them together. So I think some people will be like, this isn't what I expected. I just wanted to go around and shoot people with like not like it's a third person shooter, but it's mostly just going to be used for like getting people from range, I think. And then if you want to do cool stuff with the Force, yeah, you can. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays, because
did you get to play any of the stuff with the in-game partner with like?
No, so Bo did show up. He's a friend of Cal's. They've worked together before. It's not like you're meeting him for the first time. Like, he already knows Cal.
Okay.
At this point, so they've met before Jedi Survivor starts, but I didn't see him in action. So he is there though early on in the game, and Grease is there as well. Like, you speak to him in the canteen, but like I said, there's literally nothing else I can talk about, and it's like it's so, some of it is really cool. What I can say is the High Republic chambers, the chamber stuff, like, I don't know what it is, but they just feel a little bit easier to do. At least the one I did, because I think it's more defined, like the objects that you.
And you're talking about the stuff from the trailer that we were like, that's like kind of stuff. But
So they're basically they're Jedi chambers that the Jedi built to just train in and do puzzles and stuff. So it's all Force related. So you like pick up balls, drop them in like a power source, and then that activates a bridge so you can walk along it. Then you've got to find another ball to get to another place. So like, sometimes you have to throw them far, sometimes you have to like find two, because one of the bridges needs more of them, and obviously when you take them off, the bridge disappears. So I think some people will be like, this is boring, but they're not going, or you don't have to do loads to complete the story. It sounds like there is going to be some puzzles, but it's not going to be as much as the first game. And they just see, like, I really like the design of like Zepho. Like, the tombs are cool, but like, we've already been through them. These are now like lined in gold and got lights and purple and stuff. Like, the cool Jedi places. So
yeah, like, I think from memory, maybe this is even a good criticism, but my criticism from memory of the first game with the puzzles was, I felt like they were really all clumped together. Like, there was just like, well, here's one, and here's. I just felt like I was doing a lot on that planet, and I would have rather kind of have had it spread out a little bit. Like, I kind of like to go like, I'm in the mood to do a puzzle, I'll do it, and then I'm not, so I won't. So I kind of like how that sounds.
So when you're going through Kobo, before you even like get to the Cantina, there are like, it's not puzzles like moving balls around and stuff. It's just okay. So I need to figure out how. One area, there's loads of tar that's like so there's like a dam and there's loads of tar, but you need to sink the tar. So you've got to figure out, well, I can't walk in it because I keep sinking, but there's a couple of platforms. Well, you've got to find something that allows you to like reduce the tar, so you can, or like raise the tar, I should say, so you can jump on those platforms and then you go onto the dam. Like, there is some thought that's needed, but it's just like it's less like the tombs. It's just about it's just regular gameplay, and it's mixed with like general combat. So I think it eases you in. Like, you get a mix of, it's not overwhelming. Like, there's like, I think the most droids or enemies I saw in one go as a group, it was like 3. Like, they're very small in numbers to start off with, and then you've got to go and like a lot of the there's like these mines, right? And this was like the main puzzle section of the first bit. So there's these mines that like auto lock in when you get into a vicinity, like they start following you, and when they get close, they blow up. But what you can do is you can force throw them to either take out enemies, or you can use them to blow certain parts up, to allow you to progress through the world. Because like
Zelda.
I haven't played much. I unfortunately haven't played much of Breath of the Wild. I kind of dipped out on it. Like, I just couldn't stand playing on like a Switch. But
yeah, I feel you.
But yeah, there's a lot of like,
you can play an emulation on PC though, Azzatru, right?
I know.
The emulation's not that good though. The
emulation's improved recently. Has it? It's really gotten better recently.
I have a Steam Deck, and I set it up for my Steam Deck, and I don't think it runs that good personally. I was a little disappointed.
That's what everyone was telling me here, that I have to play on Steam Deck. I'm like, there's no way this is running. I mean, they just got I mean, some N64 and PS2 emulations is still not perfect. Like, there's no way they're getting this up and running. So
yeah, for the most part, I wouldn't recommend it for the most part actually. For emulation of the Switch.
And if you do, still buy the game, folks. It doesn't mean.
Oh yeah, I've already bought I already own all that stuff. I just wanted to like.
It's a bummer.
I got a Steam Deck and I wanted to see how it worked. You know.
Yeah, I would buy more Switch games if I knew I could just have an emulated version that actually ran at 60 frames per second in 4K or 1440p. You know.
Right.
So I'd still buy the games. I want to play them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Man,
you like rip your own game if you have the right Switch. Which I do.
It's hard to look at games like Jedi Survivor and then you're like looking at Tears of the Kingdom. You're like, come on, guys! Like,
yeah,
shadow maps, like they're flickering and it's all jaggy
and
stuff. Come on, certainly you can do smooth shadows on the Switch, right? Like,
why can't they just sell me a $500 Nintendo and then make a $250 Nintendo as well? And you know what I mean?
They're gonna sell you a $500 Nintendo, but it's the same one they're selling for $250. Just has a unique skin.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, I would love to play like Zelda at the current gen, not last gen. But yeah.
The good news is like it should be expected, but there is a 60 FPS mode for Jedi Survivor on console. I don't know the specifics, but there is definitely there's a 4K mode, which probably will be 30 as well. But I mean, the Fallen Order on the new consoles was fine, so I'd imagine this is fine. Like I said, I had a good experience aside from these like small things which most people won't notice, and also it was probably down to the fact that the game was not complete and it was too much for the PCs. Like, if I don't really know like the ray tracing details, it's just an on or off switch, so that was a little bit disappointing. I was like, I prefer when games have like ray tracing, ambient occlusion, shadows, reflections as different options. So I couldn't really tell what ray tracing they're actually using. So it makes me think there isn't that much of a difference. Because
like Elden Ring, right? They're like,
they've just started.
It's not ray tracing, it's just frame taking. Like, it just takes your frames away for no reason until you're like, look, totally better. Like, sure.
I was wanting to change the settings so I could compare, but I was told you don't change anything because it might break it and stuff like that. And I was like, okay,
yeah, demo rigs.
Yeah. So, but
Patriot asks, "Is any footage today?" And so I would suggest that after the show, go check out Azzatru's video, and his video is probably like what 20 minutes long ish.
It's I think it's 70 minutes long, 17? And I'm pretty sure we've got about. I basically fit in everything but like 20 seconds of footage, so it's basically everything that we have. So yeah, that's basically all the new footage that there is for the game, and I doubt we're going to see much more, to be honest, because with Fallen Order after that, all we got was like the launch trailer. And that was it.
Does it have loot boxes? Because that's my favorite thing. Like, if a game don't have loot boxes, I'm not playing it.
There is in-game currency which you don't have to spend real money for to get. Because I know some people, question that. But
crypto?
Basically, it's like priorites or something like that. I don't know what it is, but you just find it around the world. It's like they're just objects, and then you go up to a shopkeeper and you give them some, and they'll give you hairstyles, they'll give you beards, they'll give you jackets, they'll give you.
Did they GTA it? They didn't give them cornrows in it.
I don't know, but and there's also some mystery things. There's like key codes to access certain rooms that you can't access now, but you can purchase the key codes to go in those. I don't know what's going to be in there. There is also a jukebox in the cantina that plays music, and you can find and purchase music tracks, and they're all Star Wars like music. So,
like a Final Fantasy VII remake, right?
Wouldn't know because I've never played it. But
you didn't. I don't know.
But what was the music mostly in the style of like what we had like on Mando this week and the Fallen Order game?
I didn't have any. I didn't select any. The jukebox at this time in the story I think wasn't working. It was like so. It's just in the gameplay. Like there's a bunch of ones, but I feel like there's going to be some like iconic Star Wars like in.
What if they just
changed
Jason's tunes?
No,
They just
they
jank.
wouldn't
They
do
go on
that.
there and it's like
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, Bo-Katan.
They can have it if they want it. But all right, let's we don't have to stop talking about the game if anything comes up.
If
or
anyone
in-
has
in
any
this.
questions, put them in
Yeah.
the chat and I'll answer
By
them.
all
But
means.
anything
And
to
we'll-
do with the
Okay,
story,
hold on.
I'm sorry, Chris. I know you want to know, but I can't say anything.
Mhm.
You've only got to wait like 25 days. Less if you're in Australia. So
Hey,
I'm sorry. But
So stop complaining, Chris. And then Rob just asked on every platform, is it like Zelda?
Oh. Okay. I just want to clear it up because inquiring minds want to know, Jason.
Right. All right. So Andy Serkis's this is from bestmanbulletin.com. Andy Serkis's Kino Loy reportedly returning in Star Wars Andor season 2. And so you could give Bestman a copy.
He didn't drown.
No, apparently not. Filming on Andor, unless he has a twin brother, Gino Loy. Filming on Andor's second and final season began in November at Pinewood Studios, London, and recently the production has ventured out from behind those walls and started shooting on location. Most of the location shoot has taken place around the United Kingdom, but last month the production ventured to Valencia, Spain, where some key characters and moments are seemingly playing out. Over the last few weeks, we've seen Luthen Rael, Mon Mothma, and Cassian Andor filming scenes at the City of Arts and Science in the Spanish city. In addition, the actors who played Lonnie Jung, I don't know, Perrin Furtha, and Clea Markey are all reportedly in Valencia for filming too. Poker-faced actor Benjamin Bratt has been spotted with various members of the Andor production, including director Janice Metz, leading to speculation that the actor may have a role in Andor season 2. Now, A New Planet reveals that Andy Serkis, who played Kino Loy's in Andor's first season, has been spotted in Valencia near the City of Arts and Science. Pedritos and Hoth are reporting that Andy Serkis is returning as Kino Loy for Andor season 2, and that the actor has been spotted at various locations close to the City of Arts and Science, the location where production has been filming for multiple weeks. And that he's also been spotted at the location where the stars of the series have been studying during the shoot, which is very close to the City of Arts and Science. Of course, that doesn't confirm he's in the new season of Andor. He could simply be visiting the set, but chances are that he's more than likely involved in season 2. It doesn't come as much of a surprise learning that Loy survived the events of Andor's first season and could appear in the second season after the director of the Narkina 5 arc in Andor season 1, Tony Haynes, revealed to Entertainment Weekly last year that he believed Loy to be alive. He certainly wasn't killed, so we know that much, and that's the interesting thing about Tony Gilroy's writing. If you're not dead, then who knows what's going to happen to your character. So his return
Who
could
knows
happen.
what's going to happen to your character? You
Hey.
did not.
So the showrunner
Do you think
of this,
he backstroked? Like we just cut
No.
into him, like and he's just backstroking, or he's doing the dog paddle.
the
Right?
doggy bell.
It's like dog paddle, and they pick him up in a boat.
A little bout. The showrunner of the series, Tony Gilroy, played coy with Hollywood Reporter when asked about Loy's apparent death, telling the outlet, "He's not dead, is he? Dead? I don't see him dying." And I don't know why I gave that guy that voice. I just did. Let's roll with it. If Loy is returning and has been part of the scenes filmed at the City of Arts and Science in Valencia, then it's another name to the growing list of characters present during the scenes being filmed. And as mentioned earlier, Cassian Andor, Mon Mothma, and Luthen Rael have all been seen filming together. Luthen and Mon were spotted filming scenes at night, meeting at an unknown location before stormtroopers descend on the building they're conversing in. Mothma and Andor were both seen pacing frantically before taking one another's hand and begin running, likely away from the Empire. And today, extras, once again in the City of Arts and Science, were seen running from an unknown event, perhaps tied to the scenes that featured Cassian and Mon Mothma attempting to escape the area. The scene being filmed at the City of Arts and Science appear to be quite important to Andor's second season and overall story, with many characters who have ties to Stellan Skarsgård's Luthen Rael being present. If Andy Serkis is returning and has been filming with the cast at the named location, then it's another interesting character thrown into the mix. Andor season 2 is set to conclude filming in August with a planned release date of the later half of 2024. So it sounds like it sounds like that place is super important because it sounds like all of our characters are kind of converging there in the second season.
What if it's an Imperial wearing a Mission Impossible mask and he's just making himself look like Kino? You know what I mean? So he can trick Cassian into, "You're my friend. Take me, take me with you."
Hey, I learned how to swim. I can swim now. I took swim lessons.
I swim like a little doggy, right?
Who saved you? Balon Watch. Balon Watch saved us. And then Balon comes out with this
maybe
speedo.
Maybe a Moncal just like appears out of the water and goes, "Blah, blah, it's not a trap. I'm here to rescue you," right? Like, because that's always fun to do in Star Wars. When it gets real serious, you just have a Moncal show up and make it's a trap joke.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's going to be I think I'm going to do an article tomorrow, like a pretty good Star Wars article. And and one thing I forgot to mention at the start of the show, because we started late, I got to the show late, is Max's cat needed like major surgery to live. It was like a do or die thing, and so we chose live, and there's a GoFundMe, and I linked to it on the on Twitter. So yeah, if you guys could give a buck or two, it would definitely help Max, who has to pay like thousands of dollars to save this kitty. But
even $5 or $10 would help out, right?
Yeah, even $1 would help out. If everybody just gave a buck, it would be solved. So
yeah, Azzatru, give Max some of that Disney money you got.
Hey, you didn't get any Disney money. What are you talking about?
People have got conspiracy theories, but we genuinely didn't get anything. So we got a lightsaber though, so that passes as a payment, and we have to disclose that. But yeah,
sell out. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I thought when I watched your video, I was like, no, he's saying like this stuff is pooping out at certain moments here. Like these frames are dropping, and like that would have been something really easy to overlook. Honestly, on my first day playing the game, I would probably overlook that stuff and just be like, and keep playing, and then it would be like
not day three, Jason.
It would be like Jason, day three.
Brits, they run Digital Foundry. They count frames, bro. Like
yeah,
no, but they could tell.
But it's on like day 3 that it begins to annoy the hell out of you. The first day, I think I'm just like able to like kind of roll with it, but it's like the third day playing the game.
This is the thing. Like I make videos talking about stuff that I would like to know for Star Wars games, because when I'm watching videos for other games, this is stuff I get from like Digital Foundry and places like that. But this is stuff. So if someone was like doing my job, I'd be very happy with this. This is why I'm making these videos, and the stuff I'm looking for is like the stuff that most people aren't really interested in. Like, no, I doubt anyone else is going to be like looking into the Galaxy map to see if it drops frames and stuff like that. But there is a worry I have with the game, which I think is going to be a concern on the PC version. Right? So yeah, exactly. So his issue, like I learned this from him. Basically, every Unreal Engine game has an issue called shader compilation stutter. So every time you play the game for the first time, for the entire playthrough, basically, it stutters. And it happens to every Unreal Engine game, basically. It happens on Fortnite. They said they fixed it in Unreal Engine 5.1. It doesn't fix it. Because every time someone gets a new skin and they spawn in, and you've never seen that skin before, you get frame drops. Even though it's really optimized. And that's Fortnite, their flagship game, on the latest engine. Well, this is using Unreal Engine 4, not 5. No game is going to get those level of features for a long, long time. This version of the game I was playing was played multiple times, so I'm not getting any of that issue. The first game had it. This game is probably going to have it. First time you play through it, every time you see a new asset, you get a stutter. But that applies to basically every Unreal Engine game on PC. But no one cares, pretty much. No one cares, because they just play the game and that's it. And also it's PC. It's not on console, so it's not going to affect console. But
look, no offense, though,
it's going to be a thing.
Azzatru, right? This is where I go, gamers are so hypocritical, because these are the same ones that bust open Pokemon Violet. And they're like, I don't care if whole worlds disappear when I'm running through a map and it chugs down to 5 frames. 10 billion copies sold, right?
Well,
whole faces can just flicker in and out of existence, but it's Pokemon, so it's all good, right?
Switch people are like, I'll roll with, I'm brand loyalty number one, I think that's a difference probably. Right.
like Boston.
Like Boston baked beans.
Mhm.
Bo-Katan Kryze to fight. This is from Best Man Bulletin, to fight fellow Mandalorians in the Mandalorian season 3, episode 6. So this was an article that originally Bespin was just going to like revise, and then as he started writing it, it became like an actual like new piece kind of. And but it's like kind of revisiting what he's done, or the video he had. And so you may recall that back in September, we shared an exclusive video which showcased Katie Sackhoff, Bo-Katan Kryze going toe-to-toe with fellow Mandalorian, with a fellow Mandalorian. The video itself was captured in March of 2022 at a park located in El Dorado, California. You see right here? So I was like, dude, it's at El Dorado Park. Why didn't you tell me that? And then he's all like, because he was just saying Long Beach back then. He's all, no, I said it. We went through the site. We tried to find El Dorado Park. It's not on the site anywhere, because he never said it. He was calling it Long Beach. But now I know he was bullshitting me, because there is no El Dorado, California. There's only El Dorado Park, which is not a place. So there you go. Bespin. More like Bespin bullshit.
I experienced rain for the first time in LA, and I got wet. I didn't like it. I was not happy.
Was it like hot piss in your face?
So just quickly, basically, first day at Disneyland, it was great. It wasn't too hot, so it was nice and sunny, but wasn't burning like it did in the summer. But then the next morning, I went to get breakfast, and it's torrential rain. All my feet are wet, socks wet.
Did you go to Did you go to the Marie Callender's across the street?
I don't even know what that is.
They got a great orange French toast.
They all closed down, buddy. Sorry to tell you.
They closed down?
Anymore. Yeah, most of them closed down. There's like
when COVID hit?
Before, actually, but there's still a few. There's like still a few, but I believe the one that you're talking about is gone.
But yeah, the rain was really bad, and then like a few hours later it cleared up. So I went out, had breakfast, came back, dried my shoes and socks, and then watched Bad Batch. By the way, good finale. Very
good finale. Yeah, I also like that video or that picture of you on the log ride. You look terrified on Splash Mountain. So terrified.
So basically, I was told the second drop is the worst. It was.
Yeah.
My entire right side was soaked. My foot was wet again, and I was like, I don't like this. I've got a bag with my phone in, and I'm like,
oh yeah.
And the sun's going down at this point. The sun's going down, so I know I'm not going to dry up like I did earlier. So we were. So I was, and the third time it wasn't. It was much higher, but I didn't get wet. I didn't even feel a splash.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's so frustrating. And of course, we had Rise of the Resistance after that, so I was like half wet, like or wet.
I used to have a friend who was as innocent as Azzatru, and I took him to Six Flags in 1998. And we get there, and he's like, "Hey, I'm not going on any of the rides." And I'm like, "What?" This is like, I drove out. This is 1998 money, man. It wasn't. And he's like, "Oh, I don't like roller coasters." I'm like, "Look, you got two options. You either go on the roller coaster, or I kick the shit out of you and you go on the roller coaster. Like, I paid for all this. You're going." So I took him on Colossus, easiest roller coaster in the world, right?
Yeah.
We go up the first, get to the top, go down the first drop, and I'm like, "This is great." I look back at him, he's screaming, like tears out of his eyes. Like, I could not stop laughing. Oh, it's the best time of my life.
I went on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride and got wet, and I was like expecting worse, but yeah.
You're like a gremlin. You don't like to get wet, right? Like,
well, I mean,
and I live in England.
You don't like rain. You went on all the wet rides. You're like, I don't want to get wet. Then why'd you go on them? Like,
I was dragged into it. I was going to be on my own, so you know.
Did Cal Kestis make you go? Like, you were gonna go, but he's like, "Hold my hand. We'll go together." And then you like, Cal.
So this is the video from bestmanbulletin.com, and right here you can see Bo-Katan fighting Axe Woves, but there's a detail that we missed originally, and that's that there's an Imperial officer to the right of the screen. I believe she grabs the Imperial officer and throws him into Axe Woves, which to me implies Axe Woves is with the Imperials. So see right here. So like you see Bo on the bottom, and then right there you get to the Imperial. See him right there on the right, next to like the little golf club thing. I can't tell. It might be a lady. I wonder
I
if
think
it's.
it is. Yeah.
Actually, there's like two. There's a lady
Huh.
right there behind her, Imperial, and then there's an actual like guy right here. She grabs him right here. She's like, look, see him right there. She like pushes him
Yeah.
into him. So here, I'll replay that part really quickly. See, throws him, boom. So we got two. We have two Imperials in the scene. I didn't even recognize the other one before. So,
Is she handcuffed?
Bo.
Oh, I hope so.
No, the Imperial.
Yeah.
I wonder if they've captured
Her hands are clasped.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
they're like that, aren't they? Yeah.
Unless it's her belt, but yeah, I see what you're saying now. It could be.
She's just like stood there, and I
Mhm.
wonder if like they've captured. Like, this is just speculation. Like maybe she's like mad at the other Mandalorians because they've got Imperials. Then she's like, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And then right here we see right there's another take of the Imperial getting like pushed. In some of the scenes, I don't think she's actually like really like touching him because it's not really about that. It's just him running from her at the vantage angle of the camera. But yeah, and that might be, Casca Reeves right there. We're not sure. But anyways, so what does Bespin have to say? So in episode 5 of the 3rd season, Bo-Katan was tasked with venturing into the galaxy to find and unite fellow Mandalorian clans by the mysterious Armorer, leader of the Children of the Watch, as Bo-Katan had walked both ways. Yes, my girl. We both know from Bo herself that Axe Woves and Casca Reeves had left her to become mercenaries, as Bo did not secure the Darksaber from Moff Gideon at the tail end of the Mandalorian 2nd season. Oh my god. I think that was maybe like, I just realized what a dork I am when I read that sentence. It makes sense that Bo would seek out her former follower and attempt to convince them to join her once again after discovering that Mandalore is habitable and that it houses the legendary Mythosaur. Based off of the location of the shoot, a park located in El Dorado, Long Beach. So there he goes. Okay, he's getting closer. It seems as if, to be fair, he lives in Wales where everything is like just fucking gobbledygook. I have no idea what anything in Wales is called. So I'm going to give him a pass. It seems as if it could be the in-universe location pictured below in this paragraph. The shot shows a lot of greenery with Bo's ship flying in. We don't know if both Axe Woves and Casca Reeves will be at this location or if Bo has to find them separately. But as you can see in the video, it appears as if she faces off against Axe. And we saw an actress whose costume bared a striking resemblance to Shastra Banks' Casca Reeves on the same set, which you can view here. And so right here we have, so this right here would be the planet El Dorado, according to me, which once again, I always say on the show, this is like a park I grew up in. Like my kids have had birthdays there. I've been there a million times. It drives me fucking
Like
crazy that I didn't know that it was filming there of all places. Like it's like literally, like I said, I can go there by making 2 turns, just 2 turns. That's all it takes. That's
Thanks,
how
Bespin.
like, yeah. Thanks, Bespin. No, he didn't know. It's worth pondering why Bo would fight Axe Woves. My first thought was perhaps she would beat him into submission, proving herself superior to the Mandalorian. But then I thought of the events of The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 5, and while rewatching the video, I spotted what appears to be an Imperial officer in the background who steps in to get involved in the scuffle. And it got me thinking. The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 5 revealed that Moff Gideon had escaped the custody of New Republic when Carson Teva discovered the ship transporting Gideon had been attacked with a gaping hole on the side. Hey, he said it, not me. New Republic officers dead inside and Gideon missing. He gaped it. However, the most interesting tidbit from the scene is that Teva discovers Beskar residue on the walls of the ship, suggesting that Mandalorians may have been involved with Gideon's breakout. And see right here? I don't know if you guys could see this right here. I could enhance. Beskar. Definitely Beskar. So,
remember that time the Jews helped break Hitler out of prison?
No, that never happened.
No.
What are you talking
Okay.
about? I've seen some speculate that
plot.
yeah, that I have seen some speculate that the Empire have set the Mandalorians up, hoping that the New Republic will place blame on the Mandos, and that may well be the case. But what if it's literal? What if Mandalorians did help free Moff Gideon? We know that Gideon at one point was seen as the ruler of Mandalore, and he was in possession of the Darksaber before purposely losing to Din Djarin. So what if he still has some Mandalorians loyal to him? We know, thanks to the report from Making Star Wars, that Gideon will don a black Mandalorian helmet with horns and a red visor, so he's leaning into the Mando culture this season, and I can't help but wonder if he'll rock up in the final episodes with his own Mandalorians in tow. And I also think, well, I think to me the most telling thing is that Axe Woves isn't there when they arrest Gideon. So if he arrested Gideon, they wouldn't hire him to save Gideon. So the fact that he wasn't there for the arresting of him tells me that that's what opens him up to be one of the Mandos who helped to free Gideon personally. So what does this have to do with Bo-Katan facing off against what appears to be Axe Woves? Well, what if it was Axe Woves who helped Moff Gideon escape? Yeah, so this is what he's saying. The custody of the New Republic. Bo said it herself that Woves and Reeves had left to become mercenaries. And he's the one who had the video, by the way. I'm not trying to steal his idea. So what if it was just a simple day payday for Woves, and he has no loyalty to Bo-Katan anymore? Again, it's worth mentioning that in this scene, you can see what appears to be an Imperial officer getting involved as Bo faces off against Woves. It's also worth bringing up that Woves was missing from the Mandalorian Season 2 finale, which featured his fellow Night Owls, Bo-Katan Kryze, and Koska Reeves teaming up with Din Djarin, Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, and Cara Dune to rescue Grogu from the Empire and to take down Gideon. Simon Cassanides, the actor, Simon Cassanides, the actor who plays Woves, previously revealed that there would be an answers as to why his character was missing from the Season 2 finale. And now we can't help but wonder if it was because he has some sort of ties to Gideon and the Empire. We don't know the answers at this time, but it's worth revisiting the video now that we have a lot more context for the season. And of course, it's always fun to speculate. So, and then The Mandalorian Season 3 is currently airing on Disney Plus, blah, blah, blah. And you can follow Bestman's podcast, the Bob Podcast, and all that jazz. And you can give Bestman a coffee if you like the article and you read his site and you find it helpful to you. But yeah, I think it's a pretty sound, like theory just based off of the evidence at hand. Where the story's gone, what we're looking at in the video, I think that it makes complete sense. And I'm sold on it. Of course, there could always be, like whenever we do this kind of fan math, there's always like numbers missing. There's elements missing that change the equation, But I think it's if this is all that there really is to it, I think it makes sense. I'm sold on it.
Can I divert? It's adjacent to this, but can we talk a little bit about the Mando Season 3 story? A little bit compared to Season 1 and 2? I did some research. I wrote some stuff down.
You did?
Yeah. Because I know a little stuff. Not a lot, but a little bit.
You do know stuff.
And I've been trying to figure out what about this season is so different to me than the previous two, right? And so I had to go back to my old Robert McKee book. Robert McKee is a guy who wrote a book called Story. He's fictionally portrayed in the movie adaptation. Brian Cox plays him with Robert McKee's permission. Robert McKee said, "You can only put me in the movie if Brian Cox can play me." And Brian Cox played him. So he's the guy that basically would help you fix screenwriters, screenplays and stuff, right? And he wrote, basically, he said in his book Story, he wrote down that most screenplays break down to 3 types of plot. One's called an arch plot. The other one's called a minor plot. And the last one's called anti-plot. And the arch plot is a typical protagonist who goes through a transformation, has a beginning, middle, and end.
I have a question. Is it arc plot or arch plot?
Arc plot, whatever you want to call it, right?
Okay.
So it's probably arc plot, but it's ARCH, so whatever you want to call it, right?
Okay.
Robert McKee probably wants to hit me over the head with a book right now, like Severin Snape would, right?
Hey, but you know what? He should have done an audiobook then. Take that.
He did, but I haven't listened to it. I can't. When it comes to learning, I have to actually read stuff. So typical examples of like arc plot films are Star Wars, A New Hope, right? Like Luke is a protagonist. It takes the quest, and at the end, saves the day, right? Blows up the Death Star, saves the rebellion, saves the princess. If he doesn't go on the quest, there's giant consequences, right? So Lord of the Rings, Rocky, those are like arc plot films. Minor plot films are plots that are like, it's a story where you have like a bunch of little subplots that don't really connect, but it's really character driven. Does that make sense?
So it is arch. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so arch plot. So minor plot would be like Pulp Fiction, where you have these separate, disconnected little mini stories, but they're very character driven.
Yeah.
And you're like, and they loosely connect in some way, but you're spending more time with the characters. Mm-hmm. So that'd be a good example of that. Crash might be one of those films, right? I was thinking about that. Anti-plot is that weird shit that Jason likes at A24, like The Lighthouse. They're like abstract artistic films that don't really mean anything. They make you feel things. So a lot of like French cinema is very anti-plot.
Yeah. Do you ever go Existence? Fuck. It's for you.
Yeah, that's it, right? But even then, you can't articulate that. You'd have to let the mood. Like David Lynch is an anti-plot kind of guy, and probably the only film he's ever made that I really like was Blue Velvet, which is more minor plot than anti-plot, or Twin Peaks, which is very good at minor plot. So, Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 is arch plot. It's the Mando gets the kid and has to bring the kid to a Jedi. That's the quest.
Right.
And even though there's like these little like one-off stories, it's irrelevant because at the end of it, it's all tied together by this quest. The problem is that quest is solved at the end of season 2. Now you could say a new quest started. They have to somehow get back together because they're split, but then that's solved in Boba Fett episode 6 or 7, whichever one that was.
Right.
So we don't have an actual quest anymore. So I was like, we have to be in minor plot territory.
We do. We do have a quest now. It's the reunification of Mandalore.
That is,
which was always the original plan, right?
But that is not a legitimate character quest because there's no transformation going on in any individual character. If they don't get, here's where I tell you, and this is why with the last episode of Mandalorian, I'm like, that doesn't hold up for me. I know you got that skeptical eye, but I'm about to explain why. Because at the end of the last episode, if they didn't get Mandalore and restore it, right? If that's the thing, what are the consequences? If they don't get Mandalore, then they're lost. They never get back together. Their culture's destroyed. But they get a new home, Jason, in the last episode. They save Navarro and they get a tract of land and everyone loves them.
Yeah, but do you want Mandalore or a planet named after a Red Hot Chili Pepper who was only there for the shit record? Come on.
Yeah. But that's the problem with the writing. So you have this thing where it's supposed to be character driven, but unfortunately, like in a minor plot, I love minor plot stories. There's an anime called Nichijou, which is all about minor plot, but it's really character focused. The thing is I don't think Favreau's very good at it. So he goes about his characters in an arch plot way, which is sort of like light on character, heavy on motifs and hero's journey stuff, but he's doing it in the framework of a minor plot, so it feels shallow or all condensed into one spot. Like the most minor plot thing that I was successful in this series so far has been the Dr. Pershing episode, but it comes out of nowhere. You know what I mean? It's all crammed into one episode and then you walk away from it. These things have to be layered. Like, could you imagine in Pulp Fiction if we got all the Zed stuff in one bit? Like, and it goes away and you never see it. You have to you have to show these characters. Like Bruce Willis appears in another scene, appears in a different scene. You know, like it's still tied together. This isn't working this way. So this is where I think the disconnect is at. And so
I would have
Gilray.
Yeah, I would have cut back to the Coruscant plot over like 3 episodes in the end.
You have to layer in minor plot. You have to layer over one another, even if it's out of time, or even if it's in time or out of time. You have to layer characters. Like Carson should have appeared in the first episode in a small bit, and then he's walking around in something else in another one. So they're tied together. They're bound by the character's POV. The characters are binding the story together, even though the story is not an overall quest. It doesn't have to be.
But it is.
But it's not doing that. It's trying to do it,
and it is
like an
it's
arch
doing
plot
it
way.
It's doing it with Bo-Katan though. So that's the whole thing. Is that what's throwing people? Is that like
the problem?
It's not. It's her story now.
Right. Except it's called The Mandalorian. It's not The Mandalorian.
It's not history. It's her story.
Right, and I'm fine with that if it was called the Bo-Katan or the New Republic. Or the
Mandalorian,
Rise of Mandalore.
It's
you
called
know, but it's called
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian,
Yeah,
and all the posters have the Mandalorian with Grogu singular on it. So this is the thing.
Take it up with Disney Plus, bud. I think the title works.
I filed a complaint.
I think it works.
I don't know why.
I think the title works for that. Yeah, but I don't think we're breaking any new ground by saying Disney marketing is crap half the time. You know, like right now, we don't know what the fucking Dial of Destiny is, and they're showing the movie in a month at cons. Everybody's gonna know the whole.
I was
plot,
like, wait,
every
what?
detail is gonna be out 100%. And we're like, oh, we can't let you know what the fucking Dial of Destiny is. No, it's like, what are you guys doing, assholes? You make no sense. You're crazy. So yeah, so I'm with you, Rob.
When I say Favreau needs help, I'm not saying because he can't do it. I don't think he's very good at this sort of thing, and he needs someone who's very good at writing minor plot stuff. Very like Gilroy is a super good at minor plot character stuff. Like. Not just in this, in his own other works, like super good at. Probably a little too good because in the Bourne Legacy, there's you want more of an arch plot, like in that story, and it's all minor plot. Like this is random shit everywhere. So that's the thing, and I feel like Book of Boba Fett suffered the same thing, where it was like a minor plot story under the guise of an arch plot. I'm going to rule with respect. That's okay. And if you don't, what? What's the consequences? There's no consequences. Nothing. Like there has to be a consequence if you don't achieve the quest. Otherwise, there's no real quest. The restoration of Mandalore doesn't mean anything if I don't take back my dirty rock planet with Morlocks, you know, and vampire robots. What happens? We live here peacefully, happily together. Like nothing. There has to be more of a consequence. It's clear in the Matrix. If you don't defeat the fucking Matrix, we all die and we're enslaved to the Matrix for the rest of our lives. The first one.
I think when you have Bo-Katan not be a believer, go take Din to the water, and then she goes in and she sees the monster. That's when we know that there's more of a spiritual depth to it. Not to get all like faux.
That's minor plot.
Jordan Peterson fucking. I think I know myth, but I don't bullshit. But I think that that's like the big difference there about why the other planet isn't what you can keep. It's why it's not the same. There is no mythosaur beneath the waters on Navarro. In fact, there's only lava and fire. So it's still essentially hell. They need to go back to where they belong. I think that's how it reads to me, is that they need that
if
thing.
No one liked them.
But if there's no Beskar there. Mm-hmm.
But if in the last episode their helping didn't help and it just blew up the fucking city, right? And nothing worked out well and people still hate them, then it's like, yeah, we need our own place. We don't fit in this world. But it doesn't. People like them. They do well. Like the only one making lives difficult for the Mandalorians are themselves.
Breaking news.
No one else is.
Rob has a message to both Israel and Palestine, and it's move.
Look, man, that's real life. It's not a story. You know what I mean?
No, I'm just joking. I know.
I'm kidding. Like that's a whole nother. Come on, man. Don't whataboutism. This minor plot.
I'm joking.
I'm just trying to. People like to say, "Oh, Rob just has opinions." I have an education, right? Mm-hmm. And my problem is I'm not an academic where I go into a room and I lovingly explain things in a way that encourages you. I'm a blue collar artist, so I work at my own. I talk sometimes. I talk to you folks the way I talk to myself, which is in a very curt, get the fucking thing done because this shit's done today by 5. I got to get moving, right? Yeah. And I understand that's frustrating for people, so I'm trying to explain this in a way that I believe nobody on the internet has explained so far with The Mandalorian. Go find it. It doesn't exist anymore. So I'm trying to explain to you, if you're having issues, this is constructively why it's having an issue, and it's not that you can't do minor plot. It's that he's not writing the characters enough to support that. It would be like getting Pulp Fiction written by Michael Bay. You know what I mean? Like it'd be very surface level, in a way that's kind of Armageddon in some ways. No, that's an arch plot because they have to defeat the asteroid. It's not maybe you understand what I mean? It needs more character, real character, not like we saw them do something or they appeared in a scene. That doesn't count. Like when Vincent Vega goes on the date, that forced date with Uma Thurman's character in Pulp Fiction. Mm-hmm. There's levels to that whole bit,
Sure.
You know, even when he goes back to, even when afterward, when he comes
but,
back. And
But
he goes
Rob,
into
it's not
the
necessarily
bathroom.
fair to use like such a great film against the Star Wars TV show.
Okay, Andor. How about Andor's minor plot, where it's got 3 or 4 different storylines. There isn't an actual quest. It's not, the quest isn't to form the rebellion. All these things are already happening. You're finding out how these people are absorbed into this, and how the universe is also absorbed into this conflict. The conflict, the rebellion's always there. It's just coming forth, right? So it's not a quest. That's all the characters' individual arcs, individual stories, bound together by a larger motif that's a little abstract, but it works because you're living their lives with them. It's not because they have some great giant plot and they have all these intricate little like stats and special abilities you're used to in video games. It's because you're experiencing their moments with them.
Do you know what I think a problem is that relates to what you're saying, is the fact that it, like when you watch some stupid show that I love, like Cobra Kai, really very small things are going on in that show, like things that don't really matter to the larger world at hand for the most part. It's like the Valley or something, right?
Yeah, but every season
the
is still an arch plot.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is that at the characters, you know how much it means to the character, and then you just sort of get hypnotized into caring because they do. And the thing about the show is the personalities of the Mandalorian with the mask on, in the context of all of this stuff, they're just kind of like there a lot of the time, and it doesn't really like I don't really like Bo-Katan is so like coming to this answer, she's figuring it out. So Bo, and I do think that Bo is the one who solves this whole problem that we have with it, but at the same time, she hasn't given a fuck until like 5 minutes ago. And then they said, take your helmet off. You're going on another mission. You're on like another quest to do this like next part. And so I am curious if by the end of the season, it feels like it did resolve. If the story feels like it had some kind of atonement, or if it feels just like how you're feeling now. I don't know.
There have to be meaningful consequences. If you make a sequel called The Matrix 2, that you basically say, this has all happened before. No matter what you do, it's all going to happen again. People tune that out, man. They can't go, well, then what's the fucking point? No, you can make a point if you're very smart. Some genius out there can pull that point out. You know, few do, Jason. You know, few have that talent, and I love the Wachowskis, but they did not have the ability.
That's what we call that.
They did not have the ability to do that. So there has to be. If they don't restore Mandalore, what's the real consequences for this? I feel the problem here, if I were to go back, right, and say, and whiteboard, just to say, if I had Favreau and Filoni, and I was like, what about this? I think the problem wasn't getting Grogu to get back with the Mando. I think the thing should have been Mando should have left, once he was not only Mandalorian, Din wasn't, he should have joined the Jedi in a way. Like he should have joined Grogu somewhere else. If he had left that clan, and he had joined something else and become his own, then you can follow him on a new quest to learn something new. Even if that fails, then you're with him on a different new path. He's just meandering out for whatever, and just appears when he kind of needs to say something or do something. But that's the problem for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, the difference now though is I think people are looking for the protagonist plot beats in Din when they're happening in Bo. Just like Padme being the protagonist of the Phantom Menace, there's people who will fight me forever on it. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, but it's all there for Padme. She does every single tenet of being a protagonist because
it's there, but that wasn't the intention. The intention was that we were going to follow Anakin and Obi-Wan until Anakin turns bad.
That's what the marketing told you. That's what Disney Plus told you. But that's not what George wrote. George literally wrote it as Padme and he had been writing girls as the main characters.
But then what's he? What's her? What is her? Yeah. What is her arch plot then? What is her true quest? To have kids. That's basically it, right?
No. You're going.
She doesn't have the kids in the galaxy's fuck. That actually makes sense. Then what is it?
You're going like 2 stories beyond the story of the Phantom Menace. I didn't say the story of the prequels. I said the story of the Phantom Menace, which is a young woman. Is a queen who's in over her head. She's a coward. She's not saving her people. When her planet is invaded, Then she ends up meeting the Jedi and Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then she ends up basically getting her shit together, deciding to go. She's the one of action who takes them back to Coruscant. She's the one who stands up.
I know you're explaining at the plot, end, but at the end, I'm talking about is.
But in terms of her being the protagonist, she's the one who does, and she's the one who motivates the story, and she's the one who we follow basically in first person. Everyone else, even though it does that, A New Hope started with R2 and 3PO thing with the two dudes at the beginning, but the Jedi, which is what it does. She's our Luke Skywalker. It's like it's what he did. You could say it's not successful all you want, but that's what it is.
I don't disagree with you, but it's poorly executed in the way that Favreau right now is poorly executing this. I believe. I think it's very, very similar, and I think the trap. And this may have been totally accidental, right? But like Lucas was, when you say what is Star Wars, what feels like Star Wars, it's arch plot. Arch plot is a quest. A character goes on the journey, gets the call, has to save something. That is classic Star Wars. That's all he's doing. The Joseph Campbell story journey, right? Hero's journey. That's arch plot. So she has a little mini arch plot in that movie, in that she has to bind her cultures together on a planet, or they're both going to be overrun by the Trade Federation. The whole planet, everyone will die, right? Is basically it. Except, here's the problem with that. Lucas knows he's making 2 other films. So he knows, like at the end of the day, that Trade Federation is going to start a bigger war. It feels like there's this minor plot thing going on with different characters throughout the 3 films, with under the guise of an arch plot. Because, so you already know that Anakin has to become a Jedi because he's going to fail and become Darth Vader.
Look at
Darth Vader. Everyone
look at what you're identifying. Look at what you're identifying isn't working now. The commonality is that we start with one protagonist, and in the course of that trilogy, 3 seasons even, we switch main characters. Kind of. The
show doesn't change its main character's name. The show is saying it's the Mandalorian and it's showing you Din and Grogu on all the posters.
That's all of them, bud. It's plural. Just like if it was a show called The Jedi and it starts with Obi-Wan, but then eventually they add in 15
now
more.
Where we have to explain things that aren't
Return
really being
of
explained.
Jedi doesn't just mean Anakin; it can mean the Order as well. It's amazing. I'm just saying.
That's how I interpreted that.
So, right.
I was like 7, but you know.
But no, but I mean, like that's the whole thing, though. Is it a good idea in these things to change? And like there's some people that might take it into like a sexism place. I'm not doing that at all, because like when you look at it, like in the prequels, we start out with the woman and we move to a man. In Mandalorian, we start with a man and we move to a woman. Like in terms of like this, but this season is, with the exception of that one episode where we go to Coruscant, if you just take it all out, it's completely her arch plot, I think.
I'm telling you, the prequels would have played better if he had focused on writing it more like a minor plot versus trying to add. He tries to add this arch plot thing to make it feel Star Wars, and it disconnects. When it's minor plot, if we got to know all the Jedi in the first 2 films, like if we got to know more, not all the Jedi, but a lot of them, right? Like a Mace Windu, and they're all on different things across the galaxy dealing with the Clone Wars shit. Then when Anakin turns and becomes Vader and they all die, we give a shit about it.
Sure.
But we don't spend any time with the other Jedi. So because George is trying to put an arch plot into this, what is essentially a minor plot story. Shakespeare.
You know what I'm going to say? You know what I'm going to say? Somebody should have watched the Clone Wars.
Yeah. I'm not sitting through this again. Like, I'm just not doing it. But the people who wrote Clone Wars should learn to not fucking do that. The mistakes. Learn because the Mandalorian's falling back into that trap. I'm telling you right now, man, that's the disconnect that I have. And maybe no one's going to listen to me here. So someone will make a YouTube video that's Patrick Willems or someone where they explain it to you and you all trust their fucking opinion. They're going to tell me to go watch a video, blah, blah, blah. I'm just telling you, this is the disconnect.
Yeah. I think though, I think that like that analysis is directly on that you gave if you apply the protagonist as being Din. But I think when you apply it to Bo, it becomes.
But we're a minor plot. You don't have a protagonist. So we had a protagonist in the first 2 seasons.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we don't. We're a minor plot. That's okay. The problem is the audience wasn't told that. The audience wasn't told that, Jason, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
It's like when Lucas sets up the prequels, they're actually structured in more of a minor plot way. but he's trying to put you. He told you the hero is going to be Anakin and Obi-Wan. That fucks with everybody because that's not what's happening in the film.
But that, not when if you just watch the first film, it doesn't tell you that. But he tells
correct.
you
But that was, we all started off on the wrong foot on that one, Jason. Like that's
right. But
so
that's
now,
why with Phantom Menace the whole time I was like, yeah, you need to throw out everything that you wanted, that you thought, and you just need to look at what's fucking on the screen and what that story is. But I do fundamentally disagree with my big critique of the prequels are the things like investing in Jar Jar Binks and then fucking bitching out on it. And then my other thing with it is I don't think it should have changed protagonist. I think Padme should have been the one seeing these guys, and I think upon her death, Darth Vader rises, and that's kind of, I think, would have been a better perspective for the prequels to have been written from in totality. But like, once I don't think George Lucas is a sexist piece of shit, dog shit history, not herstory, man. No, I know that.
Kids.
But I think that George, being a man of his day and of his time, could not see that story in any other way at that moment, and I think he wrote it from. Like
there's a way he could have structured that story, by the way, where if she was giving up her personal life to be a queen, and at the end, her being a mother, her actually being, in a way, sometimes we have to be selfish with our own lives to be happy, right? Like, even though like the society wants us to be more leaders or be, workers or be CEOs, but what we need is our family. And if she had been turning that down to do the greater good, but fulfilling her personal role, right? Her personal being a mom is actually what saves the galaxy. Being a little selfish, right? I hope I'm structuring this in a way that people get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I didn't write this one out, but like, then the inner journey is what saves the ultimate galaxy versus this greater career goal thing or the selfless service, right? Because sometimes selfless service can get you nowhere, and being the queen of Naboo ain't gonna make a Sam Hill difference when Palpatine's manipulated the whole galaxy. Because the whole prequels are structured on the end.
Actually,
the
no.
ending is
because
the ending is the bad guys win
her duty, because she didn't do her duty, because Anakin and Padme failed in their duties. Palpatine was allowed to do what he did. Had they stuck to their roles and to their duties,
the way it was written. But I'm saying if you go back and do a rewrite, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a way to clarify that. I'm not saying the films we got are a jumble fuck of stuff, dude. That ultimately pans out, in the greater, considering what's in Hollywood with, what I mean? Like it's
fine. We pulled it all 5 different ways now, so it all does.
I just feel like we're doing this all over again in The Mandalorian, Jason. This is the disconnect I have,
Yeah, no, and that's like I was saying, like I really do think that what he says right here, if we hadn't already gotten so much of Bo's history in other series, I'd have more of a problem with this shift in focus. And I wonder if the fact that I have is why I don't have a problem with it. But he says, and for those who haven't seen the Clone Wars or Rebels, easy to understand why they might find it overly jarring. So that's something worth considering.
Who've seen everything going, oh, Rob doesn't like Bo, so he's like an anti-woman or anti-female character. I like her.
Yeah.
But like, we're all like waiting for the show's called The fucking Mandalorian. You got to call it something else, man. Like, and I got to tell you, like,
Rob, she's a Mandalorian, Rob. They're all Mandalorians. The Mandalorians,
I hear you.
They call it, you
got to add an S to it, or and all the posters have to show all the Mandalorians. You can't just put the one here on there and then have it be something else.
Okay, but I mean, to be fair, like the majority of the posters you can buy are all of them. Like the only one that it doesn't have it is the one that Disney Plus tweeted out. But I know what you mean. I follow you, but it is simply like that's a marketing issue. Not necessarily what Jon Favreau is not doing the marketing. So I don't know if it's fair to hold that against him. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm saying the way it's written right now is not the strongest character stuff. Things are happening, but they're not written in the strongest way for a minor plot.
When she goes from being the loser by herself, taking a shit on that toilet when Din walks into her big bathroom, in that one scene. And then at the end of it, when she's like the queen, so to speak, in essence, is that going to feel like it was like, do we feel like we got a full arc there? And, and do we feel like Din, not necessarily the protagonist, or was her loyal knight on that journey? Do we end up feeling that in the end? And if we do, then I say, hey, they fucking did it. I mean, obviously the Coruscant thing is always going to be open to a little bit of like, well, that was done with no finesse. Like that goes without saying. There's not going to be any way that makes just one random one off with those.
The Pershing thing makes it difficult
finesse,
because his quest is to continue his clone work because he wants to save people from dying like his mom did or getting sick. But we live in a world where we just saw a whole audience just watched a whole season of a guy get into a bacta tank anytime he got one little injury. So everyone's going like, well, just get into a bacta tank. And you
but
go,
he's
well,
old
that
as
was for the
shit.
wealthy.
He's like in his 40s like us. So the character. So that's the difference.
I hear you, but that's what he's saying his quest is, but the quest doesn't match up to the universe we're in. You know, like it's just some thing that they're saying because they need him to do things to get him in trouble, blah, 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 blah.
Rob, I will take that though and say that in The Mandalorian season 3, hell of a lot better quest than I just want to rule with respect. Way better
but it's
quest
the
than
same.
that way.
It's better, but only
know.
because we're dealing
better.
with characters that have Clone Wars backstory. If Favreau's coming up with everything, right? If he was coming up with Vespas and all this new stuff, then no, I think it's going to fall exactly the same.
Yeah. But I have to go pick up the children from school. It turns out I do have to do that. And Azzatru, thank you for hanging out with us today and telling us about the experience. Everybody should check out Azzatru's video. It's really good. Not that this video is going to get you any traffic compared to what you get, but it's
I've had a video do well, so yeah.
I watched it today, and when Luke gets out of school right now, I'm going to watch it with him because he wants to see it. And so that's going to be rad. And so check it out if you haven't checked it out. And Rob, tomorrow we will pick up on this discussion. It's not over. You might think it's over, but it's never over. All right, sound cool?
Oh yeah, sure, whatever.
No, I will. If I have time tonight, I will outline some nerd shit too, and then we'll look at it and we'll see because I do think though that there's something to be said about the fact that 3 seasons, 3 movies with a plot with a general like protagonist literally falling from forefront to the rear, and what that does to an audience, I think is there might be a little science experiment there that maybe Star Wars could learn from if they listen to us, but they won't because we're just dummies who
our own audience doesn't listen to us, Jason.
No, I just want to fight with us. That's fair. But all right, everyone. We'll see everybody tomorrow. I have to duck out as soon as the show's over, guys. So I will see you guys soon. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good day.
Goodbye.
My baby, I'm 50 years old. Roll up in my IG, sipping on my stall. But you could be my mommy, 'cause I know you a hoe. Mrs. on tramp stamp when you're 40 years old. Bitch.